What is up, fam? I am Will Carr Speaks. This is the DiGinacci Sequence. We are here again on this beautiful Sunday evening. It is November 23rd. Is that right? Okay. Thanks.
Mm.
Thanks for the head nod, fellas. Anyway, wow. Can't believe it's Thanksgiving this week. The holidays are here. Before we know it, it is going to be, and I'm gonna have a birthday. I'm gonna be 35 years old. It's crazy. But with that in mind, guys, we're gonna get into it. We've got some fun stuff happening today. What a crazy week it has been in crypto. What an interesting time. Some of this news that's been coming out. We've got some fun stuff to dive in tonight. So to get us started, Phil, how about you tell us some of this stuff that's going on with JP Morgan and MicroStrategy?
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this week. And if rumors are true, it seems that JP Morgan is forcing a short on MicroStrategy right now. And it looks like they're literally trying to bankrupt strategy, which is awful, even though I don't support strategy. I'm not the biggest Bitcoin guy, but still, that's terrible. It should be criminal and illegal. And if that is true, man, it's an atrocity, in my opinion.
I mean, all is fair in love and war, they say. And if there's anything as brutal as war, I would say it would be financial markets. So the argument could even be made that war is just meant to drive financial markets, but that's a whole other debate that, we could get into. Maybe another day. We'll save that for a conspiracy theory podcast.
Hmm.
But yeah, Sean, what are your thoughts? I know you've got a lot to say about strategy and Bitcoin in general. And what do you, and before you get into it, I'm curious, what's your personal opinion, Sean, on the morals and the ethics of a company like JP Morgan trying to bankrupt strategy?
Well, you got these big financial giants that seriously they're just gonna push, and it's like sitting at the poker table. The biggest stack is always they're gonna lean, and it's gonna hurt. But as far as MicroStrategy is concerned, excuse my French, but karma's a bitch. I mean, Phil, who's that guy that you shared in the group text the other day?
I shared a lot. Wow, I'm sorry.
He's always on his balcony talking shit about Sailor.
Yeah. That guy from Miami. I forget his name. That was actually the first time I saw
Nick
that
or
tweet.
something. No, he
Yeah, it's
always
Nick.
trolling. He troll a lot, but he trolls MicroStrategy a lot. I think he a Bitcoin guy though, but
He
he
is.
trolls them. He trolls ETH. He just calls out the bullshit that everybody see, but he probably got inside scoops on it because he's in that circle. So you can tell that the stuff he's saying is from reliable sources that probably run in the same circle as him. I mean, he a douchebag. Don't get it twisted, but like he actually do say a lot of stuff about like strategy that we wouldn't know. Like it's almost like he playing inside ball, and I don't know if he doing it to try to help us or if he just doing it because he's trying to get leverage on them. But he definitely got a lot of information about them. So
I do think we are rounding third and seeing the final stages of Bitcoin having any kind of utility. And that's,
Relevancy.
yeah, absolutely. Because when you look at what a lot of these projects are doing compared to Bitcoin, again, this is the prototype. This is the test run, and they hyped it up as much as they possibly could. They've been using all of you guys as their exit liquidity, and they've already won. I mean, MicroStrategy is going to tank, but don't get me wrong, a bunch of people got rich on that.
They did.
Yeah.
And you mentioned utility. Bitcoin is now positioned as a store of value. It's a highly volatile store of value. And after this past week, I can't even endorse it right now as a good store of value. And true, I don't think or I think if it does not get incorporated into a U.S. government strategic reserve, I think Bitcoin is totally dead without that. I really
yeah,
do.
you could tell
Yeah,
that they lining it up too because I think they said what 70,000 is what MicroStrategy can't go under. Or they gonna have to start liquidating Bitcoin in order to cover the shorts and cover like some of the leverage that they got. If that happens, then everybody's gonna sell off before
Yeah.
that happens. And then
Well,
you
and I
got to
think
think of all the ETFs that's holding Bitcoin. They're gonna start rolling that into other spot ETFs because people are gonna get nervous. And I think that's what JP Morgan was trying to do. Like it was trying to make people nervous to see if they can get outflows, and it worked because look at how fast they dropped. It was like what, 81,000 it dropped to almost 80,000.
Yeah, it's doom spiral.
I mean,
Yeah,
based on the numbers that
if
I've
it keeps
seen,
dropping, man, it's gonna be bad.
yeah, if MicroStrategy drops below 180, which it did, they have to start selling. And I think what's interesting is we're right at that point right now where they're at that make or break, and
Mhm.
everybody's freaking out. The crypto market is in. I mean, the fear and greed index is so far into fear. I think we're definitely set for a rally here. You know, like Bitcoin's back up above 87 as we speak right now. XRP's back up to almost 210, and the market is back on the rise. I think what we're about to see is the relief rally is finally in. What's going to be really interesting is what as Bitcoin goes into this retrace before its final crash, before it really starts crashing. What happens in the altcoin market at this point? What happens to utility tokens? Are we going to see just an alt season, or is it going to be like 2021 when we had a very, very weak alt season? Barely could even call it an alt season. Or are we going to see the greatest shift in the crypto market ever in history? And I think that's what we're all here for a super cycle, unlike anything that has ever even been dreamt of. Are we about to see a utility cycle and all of this money, especially with the XRP ETFs that are lined up to launch this next coming week? I know, Duran, I'll let you kind of dive into what those are here in a minute, but we've got these XRP ETFs lining up, utility assets at the point where all global banking just switched over yesterday to ISO 20022 standards. So it is just a matter of time before these banking cartels and the banking system as a whole moves over to blockchain for settlement. It is now that the messaging layer is in place. The question is just when do they decide to use blockchain for settlement? The messaging system is now laid out for them to use blockchain. The messaging system, and because I see so much stuff on X about this too, the messaging system, yes, if we're being very purist in what it means, has nothing to do with any actual blockchain tokens. Correct. But the messaging system puts the infrastructure in place to implement blockchain for the settlement layer. It is what allows it to all be connected as one. And so are we right now here at this time with Epstein connected to Bitcoin, with the biggest Ponzi, this convertible debt scheme that Michael Saylor has been doing with Bitcoin through strategy, the same scheme that he used back in the .com bubble, which crashed his stock more than 99%. I think that is exactly what we're seeing again, and the ramifications ultimately are going to lead to Bitcoin's collapse. But through that, do we see this massive wave, all this liquidity flow into utility blockchains?
Yeah, I think the fundamentals are too strong, and I do think we're going to see more of a massive shift as opposed to an alt season. The fundamentals are so strong, and we're closer to them now than ever before. ISO was a huge date on the calendar we had circled for years. We finally hit that milestone. ETFs are rolling out. We have more coming out tomorrow, which are huge. On top of that, it's the list. We're in the final countdown here as far as I'm concerned. We have Ripple acquiring all of these businesses, implementation through acquisition. They are just taking over TradeFi, and people can't ignore that. We've got a banking charter coming their way, the skinny Fed account coming their way. The fundamentals are off the charts. And when those pieces all fall into place, yeah, this won't be your average alt season. This is just going to be a full-blown paradigm shift.
Yeah.
I think
And
we get it confused, like, honestly, with like we was waiting for like the flip of the switch, and then one day it's just the number and the prices go up. And I think as we see, as it's happening, as it's rolling out, it's going to be more of a slow roll, because like the things that we expect to happen, even when they hit, like it's still not like any kind of cash flow going into it, because we still need adoption. And I think that like the Clarity Act, even with the Bitcoin situation, it's going to be the catalyst to get them to push forward with the Clarity Act, to be like, this is what we need in order for this not to happen again. which would be terrible for us because like that just means that it's going to be a lot of more pain that we're going to go through before we get the rise up. Or it's just one of those things where Bitcoin needs to have clarity in itself for us to be able to see the altcoins go up, because Bitcoin still controls the market, unfortunately. So as Bitcoin dumps, it's dumping on the altcoins as well. So we need clarity in order for us to like get some kind of foundation for these institutions, because the actual fundamental blockchains, those ones are going to be here for the long run. Bitcoin may not, but Bitcoin can crash once we get adoption with the actual blockchains. It's going to change the financial situation.
That's a really good point, Duran. I do think that the Clarity Act and these final pieces of regulation are what will allow the utility blockchains to truly decouple from Bitcoin, because that has not happened as of today. And I do think that that is what is going to happen. And I think what Phil even said was interesting, because this isn't going to be your typical alt season. I don't think what we're going to see is a meme coin route. I don't think we're about to see anything pump other than utility. With this clarity that's coming, where all of the liquidity and all the money is about to flow is into the blockchains that are going to get actual adoption, actual use. Because if we're just being completely honest, 3 to 4 years from now, the world and the economy and the way that all value is transferred, nothing is going to look like it does right now. We're going to be in an entire new world. Real estate, stocks, private equity, nothing is going to be the same. No one's jobs are going to be on the table as they are today. We're talking about the greatest disruption. People look back and study the 1929 through 33 crash. What we're about to experience, regardless of what the crash looks like, I don't even care. What we're about to experience is going to be the biggest transfer and the biggest paradigm shift in people's daily lives, in the way that the types of jobs that are even available are going to be completely and radically different. If you're a real estate agent right now, good luck. If you are some type of broker in any type of industry, good luck, because everything is coming on chain. And if you think that you're going to be able to broker any type of middle ground, you're just not. That's what David Schwartz tells us by saying, why is XRP the best? It's because it's essentially free to use. We eliminate the middleman. There's going to be no such thing as middlemen. There's going to be the people that do and the people that don't. And basically all that's left is the technology, the AI, the blockchain, and you either own a business or you don't. You somehow provide value, or you don't stand a chance.
I mean, I think that's why the banks are fighting so hard. Like that friction is where they make the money. Like that middleman portion of it is where they make the money. So like that's why they fighting it so hard, because like you said, in 3 years, that friction is gone. And me and you can have a peer-to-peer conversation and financial agreement for buying real estate or selling some shoes, and the banks don't have anything to do with it. They can't control it. So like it's just running on blockchain. It's on the ledger. It's a timestamp when we did it from this wallet to this wallet, and we don't need them. So the friction is what they make the money. And I think that's why we still see like so much pushback right now. And the JP Morgans, they want to own as much of the blockchain as they can so they can make money, because they losing the friction.
Well, we see what Ripple's doing. They're doing seed to sale. They're going to be a bank, and they're going to be one of the only banks that exists. So it's only going to be about habit. People feel comfortable with a bank holding on to something. So, we do need this clarity to happen so that my money is safe here. My money is safe with Ripple or whoever is holding it. So they're perfecting the seed to sale right now, and they will take over, and it's going to be crazy because, we're going to have banks that we'll hold your Bitcoin, we'll hold your ETH, we'll hold everything for you, and people will feel comfortable with that. And with, light of the scams, increasing 100-fold right now, I'm rooting for Ripple. I would love to hold my XRP with the creators of it.
That's what I was about to ask. The question I have is, we know Ripple works more with institutions. How far along you think they are with like retail? Because they're not really retail facing. So I'm wondering if that will come into the like fold later, or you think that they want to get the institutions locked in and then they'll kind of come back for us? Or maybe something like Coinbase or Gemini will be a bank that custodies retail. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's going to be multiple players in that.
Well, they're certainly not playing the Burger King to McDonald's. They will they will own the street corner, and then there will be those who park across the street. That's what I think, and I can't wait for it.
That was awesome.
Excuse me for my fast food knowledge. But
You
in
got
business, you
more
see a
good
stream.
analogies for us tonight, Sean.
Well, in business, you see a stream of income, and you don't just say, "Oh, we'll take part of it."
Yeah.
You've been planning since what, 2012, 2013. They know what they're doing. We don't get to see what's going on. The 2,000 plus NDAs that are active right now that we don't know. But I know if I were in their position, that's exactly what I would be doing. So that's why you see them trying to become a bank. What is that? North of us, Nebraska. Where are they trying to hold the bank at?
Wyoming.
Yep. See, I should know the map better, but I know fast
Way
food.
way cooler than Nebraska.
Yeah, for sure. But one thing that's interesting, because I do talk to quite a few people about XRP, it's the 22nd. Is there a coincidence that the crash just ended up there? What do y'all think about that?
Good point.
No, I mean, it's all manipulation, man. I keep going back to, like, I feel like this is all planned out and they controlling how it collapses so they can go back and buy up at lower prices. Cause I feel like institutions are in here now. They in the sandbox and they play with all the toys. And so like now it's like they can manipulate it in a way where they can make money. And then even just like look at the pundits, like they talk about crypto so much now when they didn't, positive or negative, but it moves the markets as well. So it's like we playing against a lot more, competitors. It ain't just retail against retail no more. And so we going out on the roller coaster because like we don't have any say in like how the markets move anymore. All we can do is buy the dips and try to sell when it's high.
Yeah, XRP feels like the most attacked asset maybe in the history of assets, period. And I'm starting to wonder, and I was thinking about this earlier in the week. Why are they attacking it so much? It's unbelievable. Every time something great happens or we expect something great to happen, it's another attack, another setback. And then that just reassures me because they're terrified of it and they know what's coming and its potential. And I think that's just proof that we're over the bullseye with this thing.
I mean, it's not even just like the institutions at this point. We deal with other crypto blockchains, like, and then you have the pundits who don't talk about it, but they talk about Ethereum and Solana and Bitcoin. It's like blatantly trying to dismiss it, even though we know it's the infrastructure because XRP in the ledger is in every framework that they talk about. All the partnerships, all the like testing that they did was all XRP. So like it's not a coincidence. Like it's no way you can say that it doesn't have value when they test the blockchains and the CBDCs and everything is all through XRP. So like it's a coordinated effort to try to keep the retail investors out of it or just the mainstream people out of it. And we just fortunate enough to be able to get in early.
Man, there's no coincidence why I've got this behind me. You guys feel me? It's coming. And again, I said this last week, Coach JV harps on it all the time. First they dog it, then they join it. And along the way, they drive us out. And not us. Know what you hold.
Know what you hold.
We got any other, well, I should say significant dates on the horizon?
This Monday coming up, we got Grayscale spot ETF that's supposed to come up. I saw like on X, they already had like the paperwork out for it. They got the listing name for it and everything. And then I think Franklin Templeton is supposed to be Monday too. So the 24th is supposed to be the dates for both of those to drop. So, and those are huge. So, I mean, I'm pretty excited about those just because we saw what Canary did and Canary was not as big as Grayscale and Franklin Templeton. So, the inflows for that is going to be significant. I don't think it's going to move the price that much just because we so negative in the market right now. Like the fear and greed index was lower than it was for FTX crash, which is crazy with all this good news we got. We got like a positive administration in office about crypto. a positive SEC chair, positive CFTC, and we still have the fear and greed less than FTX. It just seemed planned, man. It just
Yeah.
is. I mean, I think retail just tired because they kept thinking that it was going to happen at a certain due date just because of the chart analysts and, your favorite, YouTuber telling you whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, the people that make the decisions are the institutions and the government people who want to make the most money. And we planned on a timeline, man. So like every timeline at this point now, I'm just like, I don't even care. I just go with the flow. I know what I hold. I know that eventually it's going to be a price point that's going to be significant. And then I'm just riding the wave, man, because waiting and hoping for the date to happen on this day or that day only gets your hopes up, and then you get disappointed for something that you already knew was going to take a long time to be adopted. We ain't even got into tokenization yet. So
Right.
we in for a long ride.
Where do these ETFs purchase their XRP from?
It's over the counter. It's OTC.
Yeah, it's OTC.
They've got to get it the same ways we do.
So
They can't buy it under the table. They can't go directly to Ripple and buy it.
So Canary, that was it 28 million in a day? How much?
50.
Wow.
58 was the
right?
first day.
28 was Bitwise.
Okay.
Bitwise did 28.
So why
had been Trash Steigenberger or something like that, like on X. Like he's been tracking it. I like watching his stuff because he checks the inflows and the outflows of it, and because he was the one that called out that the outflows from Bitcoin and Ethereum is lower, but Sol and XRP is higher. So a lot of that may be flowing out of Bitcoin going into those other blockchains.
So manipulation is the only thing that can keep $58 million from moving the
Facts.
price.
100%.
Because it did not take very much money back in November to give us that significant bump north of $1.
Exactly. With less positivity, with less news, with less adoption, everything that Ripple talked about they did, like, come on, man.
Because that was only like $30 million that made that move. It was not that much money. So you've got people on the other end sell, even though it's small amounts. That's what the market sees.
Well, that's why market makers, it's so easy. You sell from your left hand and you buy with your right hand. You can do whatever when you're selling and buying to yourself. Like, that's what these people, these whales do, because market makers are really not even whales. At the end of the day, market makers exist even above the whales. They have so much that they can move the market up and down without having to sell any of it or buy any of it, because they're just moving it from their left hand to their right hand. And that's obviously what we're seeing. I mean, what I think is interesting is, I'm interested, guys. Do you guys think what we just saw in this pivot point we just had, have we, with the fear and greed, probably the worst it's ever been, did we just see the actual bottom for utility blockchains? And I'm going to put it that way because personally, I think we're seeing a temporary bottom for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is going to end up going a lot lower. I think the meme coins and all that stuff is going to end up crashing to basically absolute zero. Do you guys think that we just saw the bottom for utility?
I think we can go lower. I think Bitcoin could tank the whole market, honestly. If JP Morgan keeps this up, strategy goes down, Bitcoin's going to have another massive sell-off, and that'll take the whole market down with it.
It will. And that's what I'm kind of nervous about, as much as I don't like MicroStrategy or Bitcoin in itself. Like, I think that they overhype it. I think it has value if you believe in it, if you doing it like, digital gold, however you want to play it. But like, if you can buy gold or buy Bitcoin and then use that to leverage, your Bitcoin to do other things, that's fine. But like, as far as like the actual utility behind it, I don't think it has any. And so if they tank it, like, as much as I wouldn't give a shit, it would affect me, because it'll temporarily mess with the altcoins and bring them with it. Until we can decouple like from it completely, like, we still need Bitcoin to be successful for us to be able to get what we want out of like the altcoin season. Because right now, Bitcoin is controlling the market, and it's the fear and greed is based off of Bitcoin, because every other altcoin is getting great news. Like, we got spot ETLs for HBAR, for Solana, for XRP, and Ethereum got their new thing that they rolling out for whatever update they have, which is supposed to be positive. Like, all these other blockchains are actually doing utility things that's going to help the market. Bitcoin is the only thing that's not, because it's got this negative stuff with Epstein, and then you got the negative MicroStrategy Ponzi scheme. And if they ruin that Ponzi scheme because they pissed off at MicroStrategy, it's going to mess up everything we got planned for 2025 going into 2026.
I don't know. What do you think, Sean? You agree with these two guys?
Well, if we look at Bitcoin's price in October of last year, about 85 grand. Where does it set right now?
87.
Okay. So XRP last October, 48 cents, 46 cents. We're at almost 210 right now. It might not be able to see it because it just hurts, but 210 versus 48 cents last year in October, you can say that that's somewhat decoupling. I would say that if I'm looking at it from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly encouraging.
It is.
I agree.
We're
I think-
in the process of decoupling, I think, Sean. I do.
Yeah.
Like last year we were dealing with the lawsuit still, so that's behind us now. This is like an onion, and we're just peeling back the layers. The lawsuit was one, now it's the ETFs. Then it's going to be the Clarity Act. Then it's going to be Ripple Banking Charter. It's going to be integration, bringing TradeFi in, and actually implementing utility. So I think we're in the process of decoupling. I do, and that's
Yeah.
a point to it.
I'm curious to see like what the spot ETFs with some of the bigger ones coming out, how that'll play into like the actual market makers being able to hold XRP like that. And if these exchanges start going into a shortage where they don't have it, and see if that may push the price as well for XRP specifically, just because like, it's not that much out there that's in flow for these big, spot ETF companies to get. That's going to eventually play a factor in XRP not being able to be bought because it's not there.
And
Yeah.
do we know what's left in escrow?
Around 40 billion. But what we don't know is how much of that's pre-allocated. So what I think is interesting here, guys, is, situations don't often repeat, but they often rhyme. And the other thing is circumstances are different. Circumstances are very different now than they have been in the past. I think Sean brought up a really good point of how the last time Bitcoin was down at 85 grand, XRP was 50 cents. Now XRP is above and holding that $2 floor very well, while Bitcoin is back down to 85 grand. The decoupling of utility versus speculation is happening. And I also find it really interesting, like the sentiment that Phil and Duran just shared, I think is the general sentiment that we feel in the market right now, what we see and we hear on X, because everyone is used to Bitcoin moving the market. And we are not going to know whether what I'm about to say is true or not until we see it for ourselves. But my intuition tells me, and this is why I originally brought up this question of have we seen the bottom for utility? My intuition tells me yes. My intuition tells me that this date that we just went through, that we've been waiting for years, yes, it feels gnarly right now because it was yesterday. And it feels gnarly right now. Well, I should say it feels gnarly right now because price action's been nasty. And it doesn't feel like that yesterday really meant anything because there were all the people that are like, oh, the day that November 22nd comes, we're gonna, be $1,000 or whatever. But what it feels like to me is that day has now come. And what that day means is the banking institutions, the financial institutions that are truly responsible for value transfer of all value across the world now have these ISO 20022 standards in place. The blockchains that are going to be used for that value transfer have just bottomed. While sentiment is the worst it's ever been, I think we're going to see a retrace in Bitcoin, and then I think Bitcoin goes away. I don't even think we're going to really see much of a retrace in the meme coins and the coins that don't mean anything. But we're going to see a couple dozen coins from here, a couple dozen blockchains, a couple dozen tokens that are going to be responsible for real world asset tokenization, that are going to be responsible for real utility in business and industry, that are going to be responsible for things like supply chain management. These types of blockchains that are going to revolutionize the way that the economy functions at its base layer, the most base layer, the most boring layer, the very bottom of the pyramid, the absolute lowest part of the foundation. That is what is changing right now in the global economy. People don't see it. I think what we are about to see is a massive super cycle in utility. And I think we just saw the bottom. And it's not going to feel like it until we start seeing the price action. And by then it's going to be too late because it's going to happen so fast. And we're going to be sitting here and people are going to be like, how did that just happen? November 22nd happened. It's going to be Christmas and we're going to be like, this was a month ago. How did the market just 10x? I swear, guys, I really think that's where we're at. I'm
rooting for that scenario. I'm rooting for it.
Call me a dreamer. It wouldn't be the worst thing people have called me, but I think that's what my intuition tells me. That's what everything that we've been studying for the last several years tells me, that we are at that true point of decoupling where utility is no longer connected to the speculative narrative. I mean, we had Brad Garlinghouse on the panel at that Singapore 2049 or whatever that was, and he said the days of the narratives are over. We are moving into true use case adoption, and that's what we're seeing right now. That's
What
where
I will say is, like, I feel like everything that we knew from the past, it doesn't correlate to what we see right now. So, like, anything can happen. I don't think anybody could actually say, well, no, this is similar to 2017 or this is similar to 2021. All of that is out the window because this is a totally different
it's
market that
not
we in.
similar to anything.
It's not similar to anything because we have, the most positivity around crypto. We have administration that's focused on crypto. We have, like the utility actually coming to fruition. We have institutions who we never thought would come in actually cussing in crypto and talking about buying crypto. So like this isn't the same market, and like the charts and the chart guys, I appreciate them, but like I don't think that nothing that they say shows any value to where we at right now in the market. I think that, like you said, it's one of those things where it's just going to happen, and we're going to be like, "Holy shit, that just happened," because it's not something that you can track, and we don't know the day. Like we ain't here saying, "Oh, it's going to happen tomorrow." It's like it's going to happen, and it's just going to gradually happen, and then it's going to be there, and we're going to be like, "Holy shit." Like, yeah, that was a month ago. That was 2 months ago. And now look at it. Like, and I think you're right about that. I think that's how it's going to play out because nobody knows what day it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the others or the total 3 chart, we are in a upward, what is it? We are in the largest macro ascending triangle to ever be seen in the history of financial markets. And I do not say that lightly. If you look at the entire crypto market, excluding top 10, or you look at the entire crypto market, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, the ascending triangle pattern that is clear as day is so massive. It is ready to explode larger than the biggest explosion any of us have ever seen that mankind has ever known of any form. That's the cleanest way that I can say that. Bill is back.
There he is.
Boom. And on that note, Bill has returned.
Yeah, we've got some explosions coming. It's inevitable.
All right. Well, guys, on that note, I think I've gotten as hyped as I need to get for tonight. Any closing thoughts from any of you before we wrap up?
I would just say hang on tight. We didn't make it this far just to sell because we're scared. You just have to know that we've been in this space collectively, probably about 7-8 years, maybe more or less, but each. And I think that once you understand what we hold and the utility value, I'm not going to be scared by touching a $1.68 after it's already been $3.50. That's not going to scare me. My only encouragement is just to hold on tight.
Yeah, I agree. We're too close to the finish line here. It's either hero or zero. Know what you hold. Hang on. Just ride this wave, ride this roller coaster. We're so close to seeing this thing come together. So just hold on.
Yeah, my advice to everybody that's out there that's listening to us, because we have a ton of people that's listening to us right now. I would say that for Thanksgiving, just tell them next month when they ask about crypto. No, it wasn't. It was never November. It was always December. Let's tell them that.
Go. None of your kids, none of your family. No one needs presents. You barely need food on the table. But the only thing you should be buying for anyone that you care about is
More XRP.
more XRP utility, HBAR, not financial advice. We're a bunch of degenerates. Do not listen to anything that we say or take anything we say seriously, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, and keep things in a healthy perspective. This is technically a gamble. This is Thanksgiving week. I don't know what you guys believe, but it doesn't matter. It is a time to be thankful and to be grateful
100%.
for what we do have. So, I am thankful for our friendships, and I'm thankful that we can get on here and I can have this cool studio and that we can just chat about what could happen and what's been happening. So,
Yeah,
be thankful.
Absolutely.
absolutely. How cool that we live in a time that I can be traveling in a hotel room and we can all be at various different places across the country. And here we are, just four homies chatting it up about things that are interesting to us on the internet.
One of the best timelines, man.
For
We're
real.
living in the best timeline.
Yeah. So with that said, this is the DiGinacci Sequence. This was episode 17. This was a fun one, guys. I love you all. This is a great way. I love Sundays and can't wait to chat with you guys next week and see what is new then. So until then, later, fellas.
Appreciate you guys.
See you later.
Guys, thank you.